of big problems. They want us distracted. And I try to tell people, don't take the bait, don't fall for it. Your neighbor's not your enemy. Your neighbor's an American who wants the same things you do. And that's the message they don't want to get out. And I think that's the message that you carry. And so I have a real soft spot for you, and I think a lot of people do.
Recently, Republican Congressman Thomas Massie and comedian Jimmy Dore sat down to have a conversation about Thomas Massie potentially running for president in 2028. I found it to be a very great and fruitful conversation. In the conversation, as we'll see in a second, we're going to look at some clips. Thomas Massie discusses two main reasons why he doesn't believe he would be successful in running for president in 2028. I personally think that these two reasons and the conversation around them say a lot about our political system right now and how highly polarized it is, and most importantly, how certain foreign governments have weaponized our two-party system against us for the worst. At the end, I'll come back and we'll do some analysis, and I'll talk about how those who are interested in supporting Thomas Massie can do so. I'm attorney Greg Lake. Welcome to the Entheogenic Esquire YouTube channel and podcast. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. All the support is very much appreciated. And let's hop right in.
You know, let me describe some of the other things they do that you don't see. 3 of my consultants have quit, like on my campaign, and all 3 for the same reason. And I don't blame them. I'm not even mad at them. If I were in their shoes, I'd probably quit too. They were told that your other 3 clients will fire you, or sorry, your other 30 clients will fire you if you keep working for Massie. And so they make it hard to basically to hire the people. And for everyone that quit, okay, you go out and you interview 10 people to replace them, and they all tell you the same thing: I can't work for you, or I'll lose all my other clients. So it's like it's a mafia in the consultant world. By the way, I really love the consultants I got now, because they're the ones who said, screw you, I'm going to work for Massie because I believe in what he's doing, and I'm good enough at my job. I'll go find some other clients if your clowns fire me, okay? So good for them. The other thing they do is, so, you know, I told you I may have told you this, maybe I didn't. I've got 15,000 donors across the United States. My average donation is $80. Is that because I don't want millionaires to give to a super PAC and to help me? No, hell no, I'll take all the help I can get. The problem is, if you've reached some degree of success where you have a $1 million disposable income, you probably can't afford to tick off this administration, or they will come at your business. And I'm not talking about IRS audits. Like, it's bigger than that. You won't get the permits you need to do the business. You're foreign, when you try to do business overseas, that'll get interfered with. So they can't intimidate my $80 donors, right? There's too many of them. But there are, and really over the MAGA split and on foreign policy, there are people of great means, I'm talking about extraordinary means, who could put money in my race and post up against the Israel First billionaires. But they're staying on the sidelines because their business will get ruined. They won't be invited to the parties, you know, the A-list parties, and all that goes away. So that's another part of what happens behind the scenes.
So as we can see in this video with Thomas Massie and Jimmy Dore, with Thomas Massie explaining the issues that he sees preventing him from being successful in a presidential run, obviously all really comes back, in my view, to the AIPAC issue. Obviously, you know, him saying that his donors would be bullied, also saying that he can't get support from consultants. Obviously, all that has to do with the AIPAC lobby. And so on the real national level, beyond Massie running for president, I really see AIPAC needing to be probably the #1 issue voters need to press upon at the polls in both the upcoming midterms and in 2028. Now, Massie as a candidate, I can just say this. My dad, who's been on the left his entire life, told me the other night that he would run to the polls to vote for Massie. Jimmy Dore, who was traditionally left, and by the way, Jimmy Dore and me both really got pushed to the right during COVID. Anyways, Jimmy also stated that he would have no problem voting for Thomas Massie. And I see that amongst a lot of people on both sides, and for good reason. You know, for instance, the Files Transparency Act. We still see politicians on both sides of the aisle trying to politicize the issue, whether it be the Democrats trying to go after Trump versus the Republicans going after Bill Clinton. And in the background, in my belief, was AIPAC trying to really drive that wedge in order to prevent either party from really hammering on these files, okay? And so I think that issue there, and the way that we've seen Massie and Ro Khanna both reach across the aisle to get this done, a very important issue, right? Protecting our children, is something that moving forward in the future, we should really be looking for politicians with those characteristics. The ability to put the notion that they must hate each other aside in order to come together and do very important work. I know that's what really won me with Thomas Massie in particular, is just the way that he's handled himself, the way he's been courageous. He says on this video too that as far as his past, he has no skeletons. He married his high school sweetheart. They were together for 35 years. Now he's a widower, unfortunately. And I think now he is remarried. But again, he doesn't have this shady past or any of these other romantic relationships in the past that would really do damage to a potential presidential run. And I think that AIPAC and the people behind it know that. And as many who've been looking at the news have seen, you know, they are very much going to show up and try to oppose Massie, not only for president, but even in his congressional district race there. And so if anybody's interested in supporting Thomas Massie, it's thomasmassie.com/donate, I do believe. Let me make sure. Yes, thomasmassie.com/donate if you feel like donating. And I guess I'll end on this. You know, I think moving forward, it's going to be very, very important that we step up as citizens and empower ourselves and one another to really go and give what we can financially to these candidates who we know AIPAC and the billionaire elite will not be supporting. Because otherwise, as we can see from what Thomas Massie was describing here, we're still going to have the continuing issue of the billionaire elite essentially deciding who's going to run our country for us. And so that's all I had today. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. Again, all the support helps. I am Attorney Greg Lake. This is the Entheogenic Esquire YouTube channel, and I certainly hope to see you next time. Have a great weekend.